started. Welcome, miracle makers. I'm so excited that you're here. Today is such a beautiful, energetic space for us to really begin addressing the next layer of how to stop being angry and how to stop others around us from this emotion being expressed in a way that's damaging. Today, we're going to dive fully into how do you transform anger into something positive. Before we go fully into what we're sharing and what we're moving into in this area, I'm so excited to share with you a little bit more about Miracle Makers and what we do. On Wednesdays, we tap into wellness Wednesdays. You are this incredible spirit energy form, and you get to experience this physical body. Our first sort of principle is heal. And we don't use the word heal as in, oh, get better, something's wrong with you. We use the word heal in the context of sit, be still. Your entire energy field knows wellness, heal. Like a command to your body, heal, sit, let soul, let oneness, let your wholeness. Rumi often shared, or I often share Rumi's quotes. I often share that Rumi really put together so beautifully. You are mistaken when you feel all alone. You are not the whole, you are not just a wave, you are the whole ocean. You are both a wave and the whole ocean. This is part of the way that Miracle Makers Academy works. Once you're part of the academy, it's like watching birds. I know there's a name for this phenomena, and the name will pop back in, but when you watch birds flying, or a school of fish swimming, or a group of migrating butterflies, ants, birds, species of every sort, mammals of every sort, have something that's in the lead. And then they have this entire group that's moving with them. We now recognize that humanity is this web. You are an energy field, much, and at times just like the birds that are leading. And I'm so excited someone can think of the term for that. I'd love for you to type that in, that phenomena that birds experience, that turtles, schools of fish, mammals move in a direction, migrate together. There's one leading, cutting the resistance in the entire group. If the birds get tired, if one of them gets tired, another one takes leadership. If one of them is injured, they all gather to allow that bird. And if they have to move on, there's a few in the back that will stay behind and help those birds that were injured catch up. My point here is Miracle Makers Academy is a group, and we're a group on purpose to embody oneness, our one soul. First, starting with our individual, like wave of the ocean. When you start to be in your body, inhabit this incredible vessel that you've been gifted, there isn't anything that you can't do, right? Heal. Being in your body, heal. All of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the over 1 million instances of miraculous healing started with the person embodying their body. Heal. That first, being part of a group that's doing this incredible work, the energy comes to you. The feelers in the group. Feel. When you feel, when you're part of the group and you feel, oh my gosh, what you're feeling is the cause of your heart. This is an incredible thing. Your heart is 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of your brain. And we're just learning more and more about your brain. With the Miracle Makers Academy, the questions come up, what's stronger, right? Your brain, your heart. When your heart and your brain are linked, when you're feeling. So for example, the Dalai Lama comes to town and the extraordinary crime rate, whatever it might be, or measurements of human compassion expand. The donations to centers, the volunteerism, crime rate falls. That's the Dalai Lama feeling. So the first thing, heal within Miracle Makers Academy, right? That's your job. Sit still long enough to feel the great, I think it's saying murmuration. Feel, heal to feel your soul, feel the oneness, feel all that are connected to you around you. Heal, feel compassion, feel what you want to feel expanded, feel in the vibratory match of what you're generating, creating into the world. Heal, feel. Then we have thrive, that energy of thriving. Thriving is really taking your abundance and gifting that into every space and every community that you get to be part of. Now, again, today's topic, this extraordinary topic that we're going to jump into, this is murmuration, refers to the phenomena that results when hundreds, sometimes thousands of starlings fly and swoon in intricately coordinated pattern through the sky. Our sky, our energy, everything about us is how we navigate through relationships. The further out you go from yourself, the less control you have. So I want to say this so carefully so that you will understand the importance of today, understanding the emotion of anger, helping your beloveds with compassion, or even those that you don't yet beloved to understand their anger and understand compassion. It's so important, and I love sharing this with you. I share this with you so that you will be the most powerful version of yourself. And the most extraordinary way for you to show up is healed. Your entire soul, spirit, energy, all of the prayers that have ever been prayed for you, with you, the compassion of all of the compassionate beings that are praying for you to fully realize yourself. Feel, really stepping into feeling what you choose, feeling and creating what it is that you intend for the world to be. Be the change you wish to see in the world. One of my favorite quotes by Gandhi, right? Be the change. That's the feeling component, when you're the feeling. And then thriving, really setting it up that your miracle frequency, you're feeling it, you're thriving it, and you're causing everyone around you to have the most beautiful experiences in your presence, bringing together that miracle frequency and really knowing you're part of something greater than yourself. So let's start by, I'm so grateful that you're here. The intent for this is for you to really allow your miracle frequency to not be held hostage by emotions, energy in motion that may or may not even be yours. Much of the emotions that you feel, until you are a sovereign being, until you are yourself, until you fully know yourself, all of those quotes on knowing yourself really have to do with so you can discern when it's about you and when it's not about you. Your pineal gland, the gland in between the two halves of your brain, it's this beautiful third eye. It's a knowing. Your third eye knows how you fit into the fabric of this current moment, into the fabric of all time and all space and all dimensions. When you're angry, your left brain comes online. And we're going to talk a lot about that. But the pineal gland, whenever you're feeling like time is expanding, when you feel connected, when you're in awe and experiencing the greatest joy, when you're in love, when you're feeling expanded greater than yourself, your pineal gland is online. You've got frequencies, right? Frequencies that are being put out, energies that are being put out. When you have a thought, and if there is no energy that goes to that thought just passes, right? And many classes within Miracle Makers, we talk about an event outside yourself either informs you or affects you. If one of your thoughts affects you, right? It affects your body. There's a result. Well, we're going to talk about what happens really, really deeply into when thoughts of anger come up. And right now, it's such an interesting time. There's a beautiful 16-year-old girl that is traveling the world. And I realized this in the shower and in the bath, getting ready, doing the ritual for teaching this, because today we're going to do a guided meditation that's going to allow you to really let go of anger and to step into the deeper emotions that you choose, the higher frequency, the more complex patterns that are within your being that are wanting to express themselves. So a thought comes in. So right now, a lot of people are getting angry at a 16-year-old, Greta Thunberg, for the environment. A lot of anger. And when some of my clients and people asked me about this, I said, well, so many people have been in denial of the climate change, denial of so many truths that have presented themselves to be self-evident. So much truth through science has been presented, and yet people are walking around like they're dim lights, afraid of their own miracle-making frequency. I love Marianne Williamson's "It's your light that you're most afraid of," right? So this young woman sails across the ocean, solar, everyone's getting angry. I'm being asked by clients, denial, then anger. Then we step into bargaining. The anger is a very crucial emotion for anyone and everyone that has to let go of control. The certainty, the knowing of different faiths, different religions, different systems that have been human systems designed to explain complex patterns. How can these complex love energy from God, from whatever connects us closer to God. Mother Mary's what connects me, St. Francis of Assisi. Some people call the energy, the frequency, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Whatever connects you to that energy. For some people, it's nature, right? The more complex, there's a feeling of it inside yourself. And we humans created systems, and the systems are flawed and falling away. And as they're falling away, the first group, people were in denial. Then they're angry. If you don't believe what I believe, I can't hang out with you. If you can't affirm what I affirm, that stage is really necessary for them to step into bargaining. So anytime you're angry at yourself, you're angry at another, you're angry, or someone's angry with you, really know that if they were in denial, if they couldn't even see it before, anger is a positive step. They then move into bargaining, which is, and because it's a subtle energy of losing control. We're going to talk about the biology of it. We're going to get into some really, really great things. But a thought comes in. Greta Gutenberg, a political movement, a religious whatever, a person in social media that just, or in news that you just don't want them to be the uncontrolled version of themselves. I want to say all of that another way. Anything that affects you, you want to control. Anything that informs you, anything that gives you information, you break up the word information. You can use whatever that information is and construct with your pineal gland, with your third eye, another possible solution, another possible a miracle, another possible healing, feeling, thriving possibility. Anytime something affects you and you can notice, right? You can notice, wow, this is really affecting me. It might be a subtle effect. It might be it's really interesting to be in a partnership where someone can point out to you, or with a coach, or with a lot of the clients and couples, when I see them talking, right? And one of them says something and their body makes a particular move. Like, what was that move about? That subtle energy. A new reality, understanding of self gets awoken there. Your heart is the transmitter and creator of reality. Your emotions, your thoughts with energy and motion truly affect DNA. You are energy. And so beautifully, feelings affect your, whether more blood flows, goes to your brain, goes to the two halves, goes to your heart, goes to all of the organs. So heart's magnetic field, I have to correct myself. It's the heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. And the heart's electrical field, your heart's electrical field, is 100 times stronger. So you are magnetized. You are magnetic. Things, energy, emotions, thoughts, DNA, everything you need is attracted to you. And for you to really understand this, you sit, you heal, you feel, you thrive right? In the sitting, in the healing, intuitive hits come up. Emotions come up. Things that you want to do come up. If you change the electrical field or magnetic field, you change the action. I want to say that another way. If you change the electrical field or the magnetic field, you change atoms. When you change atoms, you change the action, you change the wave. The more you know yourself, the more that you might be connected to what you actually feel and want, the more connected you are to yourself, to your energy field, the more you can really tune into the environment around you. The more you know yourself, the more you can alter or adjust in proper measurement or proportions. So anger covers up a underlying emotion. And so as Brene Brown says, right, anger is a catalyst. Holding on to it, right? Holding on to it makes you exhausted and sick. Internalized anger will take you away from your joy and your spirit. Externalized anger will make you less effective in your attempt to create change and forge connections. Yet, anger is an emotion we need to transform into, we need to go from denial, right? Denial, anger comes up. And anger, if it isn't recognized, can turn into something far more difficult. Depression, grief, regret, or shame. Your feeling and practicing the feelings that you want, life-giving compassion. Every time you feel compassion, your heart expands. And you can only feel compassion in the current moment. You can only feel anger in the current moment. You can only feel your feelings in the current moment. Your feelings are what give vitality to you, or they take away your vitality. And so within Miracle Makers, again, another class, you can search it within Miracle Makers and find this, but we talk about groups that meet on a regular basis. They give each other vitality. Those that live the longest, the healthiest, the least stressors, environmental stressors, are the ones that come together regularly. And so loving yourself enough to find a group that you resonate with and making a choice to be there with them weekly, moment by moment, is one of the best things that you can do for your own vitality. Learning to really take the lead sometimes within that community, learning when to nurture yourself and step back from that community is really important as well. And so I cannot wait to tell you even more about your anger. But that first part is this first little summary that I want you to get. One, anger comes up. Anger comes up because people are waking up from denial. When anger comes up in you, a little bit of self-realization that you're not in control of everything and that it's time to resign being the CEO of the universe and giving it over to something greater than yourself. That something greater than yourself could be tapping into your heart and thinking about your community. Could be tapping into your heart and thinking about something or someone around you that's suffering. The Dalai Lama teaches in the art of happiness that you can step into so beautifully. If you can't step into the feeling of gratitude, step into this extraordinary feeling of of you're grateful you're not. So Greta Gutenberg, 16. I am so grateful I'm not 16. I can really relate to her. When I was 16, I was shouting from the rooftops, don't marry 14-year-olds to older people. We've got to stop arranged marriages. We've got to bring in choice. I can really relate to the anger that she has gotten around her. I had an arranged marriage at age 14 to a 28-year-old man, and I went from being a child at 14 to being a woman. And at 16, I couldn't deny it anymore. I wasn't the typical 14-year-old in the United States and growing up, and I couldn't deny it. And I was angry. And I knew I couldn't change it for me, right? I couldn't change it because I wasn't that powerful yet. But I was screaming from the rooftops to everyone around me. And I didn't know that I was seen as angry. And years later, when Greg was coaching me early in our marriage, right? He was coaching me and I was asking my family questions. And I went back and one of the questions was, is there something about me that's ever let you down? Is what about me doesn't work? And I remember my mom sharing with me, she said, you're really angry. And my mom said, you're even rageful. And she went on to describe some things that I wasn't even aware of. And I'm so grateful that my mom shared that with me and said that to me. And really, in that moment, up until that moment, I only had the experience of myself being loving. And I had trained myself to leave the community or leave people so they never saw me get angry. And as a teenager, 16, as in college, and all of those, if ever I got angry with anyone outside my family, I overcompensated, I gifted, I loved, I did whatever it took to win you back, right? Whatever that energy was. And this cycle over and over again. I didn't know I had rage. I didn't know I had anger, but I knew, oh my gosh, we just behaved badly. And I would always be the one to make up. Two biochemicals, it's norepinephrine, also, or epinephrine and norepinephrine, also known as adrenaline. Adrenaline jumped through my system. I was angry. Epinephrine coursed through. It stopped. When I get angry, when you get angry, when we get angry, the heart rate variable goes all over the place. Arterioles tense up, your blood vessels tense up, testosterone's produced, cortisol is released, decreased everything to your body, just to your muscles, and you become suspicious. The parts of your brain that are going to analyze everything and get you out of the energy field into physically analyzing and defending or hurting. I'm so grateful my mom told me that when I shared that with Greg. Greg could finally say, yeah, baby, you have this part that's called rage. And the way the rage would play out early in our relationship and marriage is every time I got rageful, I would get so mad, I would get into the car and I would drive to Louisiana. I would just be from California to Louisiana, and somewhere in Texas, the rage would wear off, and I'd call him and say, I'm so sorry. And I will let Greg describe his own emotions and what he went through. He's going to co-teach with us tomorrow on the love coaching. So on Thursdays, we've got love coaching. Greg is jumping back on so that we can really help you be able to jump into and create the relationships you really want. When you get angry, when I get angry, there is no one home. Your brain gets flooded with all of these chemicals. And the only way to let yourself be home rather than be a physical machine it's a tricky emotion, right? You have to breathe through it. Getting into the car, I would breathe through it. It starts in your brain. There's a small region in your brain called the amygdala. This compartment of your brain processes information related to your emotions. If you can figure out what your triggers are, and I worked out what my triggers were. I taught my husband, who also had anger and rage. After we could piece it and understand it, we started teaching our clients and our friends and everyone around us how to deal with epinephrine, norepinephrine, also adrenaline, that emotion. Part of the reason we've made Miracle Makers Academy is to really help our beloved, be able to address and change the things you can change. When the chemical molecules are being sent from the amygdala, and you need to have these chemicals, they can't go away. They need to be in your body, because without them, you would be depressed. Without them, your body doesn't function. Your heart needs epinephrine, your lungs, all of you needs the chemistry. But once you flood, and if you flood on a regular basis, your body gets busy making these chemicals ahead of time so that you will be ready. For you to fully understand that you practice feeling what you want to feel will create the chemistry, will create the molecules, will create exactly what you need. So feeling wealthy, right? Inside, feeling connected, beloved, feeling belonging, feeling in service, feeling healed and whole, feeling connected to something greater than yourself. You start practicing that. Wow. It literally, right, keeps your blood from boiling. I know that sounds so funny, but when you practice other feelings, your body creates a chemistry that creates flow, the feelings of well-being that you want. When you practice and you feel that and you meditate on that, and especially in group settings, wow. When you're angry, literally your blood vessels get smaller, your blood thickens, everything in your body immediately shifts so that you will be safe. So somewhere between denial and bargaining is coming up, right? A realized person, right, will go back into denial. I was not realized when Greg and I started working on my anger. It was really beautiful hearing my mom share that story. And for me today to see that whole story through the eyes of watching it with Greta, right? Watching it with this environmentalist that's traveled, I can fully have great compassion for the 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old that I was and beyond. I had a great deal of shame and guilt. I didn't want to be those things that I was. I want to say that another way. I was angry at me for who I was being back then. And in a subtle energy way, every time I saw anger come up in Greg or come up in me, I ran from it. Not dealing with the situation, not bargaining. I was in denial. So the second a beloved or someone around you gets angry, if you can step into, oh my God, we can move to bargaining. They're no longer in denial. If you can get excited inside yourself and move into a space of, wow, let me sit with you. I'm so sorry. I can see that something is out of control here, right? You don't say you're out of control. You don't amplify it. You simplify it. My heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry, you say. Please don't panic. Don't run away. Let's figure this out together. I'm so sorry. Yes, if they're saying, you did this, you did this, you did this, and you're like, ooh, that's a lot to take in. You're sitting there, you're like, oh gosh, I hear you. Maybe that's the bargaining, right? You step into bargaining. They're not in denial. They're feeling anger. You step into bargaining. So beautifully bargaining with them. You're able to reduce. And this is the left part of the prefrontal cortex. Your left brain, the prefrontal cortex, is associated with anger and aggression. And if this region is switched off, you will succeed and act like the Dalai Lama or Gandhi, right? So you're a field of energy. Someone around you gets angry. Your natural field, unless you know yourself, the magnetic field of your heart, 5,000 times stronger, the electric, 100 times stronger. You've got to get electric. You've got to step into compassion. You've got to start breathing in your heart, because you are both the wave and the ocean. You have to be the change you wish to see. You have to be it in your body. That's with others. With yourself, you've got to practice. You've got to practice all of the things. And we are going to dive into that practice in a minute. I'm so grateful that you're here. We're stepping into the next part, and I'm so grateful to answer questions for you. I really ask that you share Miracle Makers Academy and your link with anyone that you know it can help. You are part of something greater than yourself being here. We are on this extraordinary path on purpose to be the greatest good that we can be. We're purposely on this path to be transparent. Share it all. You're not alone. We're purposely on this path together to let you step into leadership as well. So Thank you for joining this first part.